what was it like in your marriage, walking through that? I'm sure there were hard conversations. Walk us through that, like how you really clung together in the Lord. And
That's good. Right before I got pregnant with Brandon, I will never forget going for a walk one night. And I told Mac I needed to go off by myself. And during that walk, my heart was so broken and just so hurt and desperate because I just wanted a baby that was consumed by it internally. And I remember going on a walk, crying my eyes out. And I told the Lord, I said, you have got to take this desire away from me right now. Because Mac had told me, let's wait. Let's hold off trying to get pregnant. Let's just wait. Let me get through seminary. And he had told me, let's stop. And so I pouring my heart out to God, saying, Lord, you've got to change my heart. Take this away. And cleared up my eyes, went home, never said a word to Mac about my conversation with God. That night when we went to bed, he said, you know what, Cindy, I think it's time that we start trying again. And I was able to have my hands off. God did a miraculous work, and we were able to have Brandon. Through each of those miscarriages, I remember Max saying, he didn't understand the depth of despair and the loss that I felt, because he's not the one that carried him. But he would tell me that. He'd say, I don't understand, but I am so sorry, and I'm right here. And he supported me. And he did grieve in his own way. But we were determined that we would not make this separate us. We just talked and talked and talked. Communication was key. And Mac and I have very similar temperaments. That helps in a marriage because we were just able to navigate through those pains together. We truly worked on them together, even though we had different emotions, I guess I could say. It made us stronger. It's kind of been the pillar of God's faithfulness through our ministry and the disappointments that come in ministry, the hurts dealing with people. We are always able to go back to what God did in our life personally and given us our children. That has spurred us on to keep going, because we've seen God work. We know he can do miracles. He is in the miracle business. And so we've just been able to continue to move ahead in whatever life challenge, but we've always done it together, which is truly a gift. A gift.
How do you, I can't even imagine the pain of losing one baby, but let alone 6. But how do you grieve and mourn and process that with God and keep your heart pure and not angry or, question? Like, what was that like for you? Not only once, but multiple times.
Well, you just said the key word. It was a process, because there were days that I was angry. I questioned God. Like I had said earlier, Lord, why would you make it such a strong desire in my heart to be a mom and yet not provide? And so there were moments of anger. But early on, my mom always taught me God can handle anything, any question you have, when you're upset with him, let it out. He can take it. And so that really stuck with me. And so when I was feeling angry, hurt, disappointment over and over, buddy, I let him have it. I would just get it out. I'm a huge communicator, if you can't tell, because I could talk. I'm a huge communicator. And I just knew that he was the one I needed to communicate with. And slowly, always sweetly, God would put sweet in my heart, trust me. And there was just a spirit of God's got me. God's got this. So eventually, I always got to that place. But I never held back and went through a lot of the different emotions. But I do believe it was by God's grace, though. He did not allow me to stay stuck. And I could have very easily stayed stuck. But I think, too, I had a husband that was fully supportive and helped me grieve and gave me permission to get it all out. But yeah, it was a process. And honestly, the more I had, the more intense the conversations I would have with God.
And what was that first moment like when you had your first baby and you have him in your arms? You've done the whole 9 months and you see him for the first time. What are you?
You can't describe. You cannot describe the feeling of love and thankfulness every time. Because truly, it is a miracle. It's fun. You had asked earlier how I handled my children after having all the miscarriages. You know, did I hold them tight? And the truth is, I don't hold them tight now. But I guess I did struggle when they were little, because I never allowed anyone to watch Brandon until he was 2 years old. So for 2 years, that child was with me 24/7. And then I might have let somebody keep him for an hour or two. I don't know. It was a long time because, yeah, I guess I did struggle with scared to death something was going to happen to him. But the joy and the fulfillment, and truly the first time you can actually experience God's love for us is when you give birth to your own. The closest to love I think that we could ever experience.